Okay, guys, welcome to the Social Living Podcast. I'm your host, Julian Green, social media consultant at Hashtag Living Agency. And also, we have my co host, Jamal Lawrence, social media executive at Superdry. How are we doing this week, Jam?
Yeah, good. It's again another busy week. I'm like midway through a sport campaign we're doing at the moment. So yeah, a lot to manage. But yeah, it's going all right. It's going well. It's going well.
That's good, man.
Enjoying it. It's been a
That's good.
busy start to the year.
Yeah, yeah. This
How's
year's a
things with
big
you?
year, man.
For
Um,
sure.
with me, yeah, everything's good, you know. It's been busy, man. Been interviewing hard, like, got a
Okay.
few positions opening at the agency. Just trying to find the right talent, man. This year is this scale, man. Trying to take everything to the next level. As
Mm,
Nipsey Hussle would say, trying to turn all my sevens into 14s. So
double
yeah,
up.
man, just put yeah, double up, exactly that. So. Yeah, just working hard with that. And I'm on the hunt for new clients as well. So if you do know any business owners, hit me up, man. Happy to have any conversations. Yeah, there's lots of opportunities out there. So yeah,
For
just been
sure.
yeah, I've been attacking them, man. It's been good. So yeah, it's been busy. It's been busy. But
Good,
yeah, man,
good,
I'm all
good.
good, man. I'm all good. A lot's been happening on social media this week, man.
Yeah, it has. It has. It's popped off. It's yeah. It started the year fast.
It has, it has. I was gonna quickly just push in some of the Instagram updates because there's been quite a few um
Mm.
chronological feed. To those if you've joined, wait, how long do you reckon Instagram stopped doing the chronological feed?
Five, maybe like 5, 6 years now.
Yeah, probably makes about sense.
Mm.
Yeah, five. I'll say about 5 years. That's probably about
Mm.
right. I feel like it was 2017 ish, 18 maybe, 4 or 5 years.
Maybe a bit
Um,
less. Yeah.
so I would say back then was where you saw probably Instagram at its best in terms of organic growth. Everyone could
Hmm.
see everybody's posts. No posts were limited. There was no shadow banning. It was like a Wild West, and whoever you followed, you see their posts because you had to swipe down and go through. No other posts were suggested to you. There was an explore page, but you have to go to the explore page to see those posts. But on your feed, it was just the people that you followed. And I can tell you now with some of the accounts that I managed back then, that's where we saw the biggest growth overall. So yeah, so that's what that was, isn't it? Like in terms of chronological feed, everybody loved it, and people, I think, on a yearly, maybe weekly, maybe even a daily basis, I think people have been asking for that back. With the
Hmm.
introduction of Instagram ads, I think it's made it really competitive. Obviously, for Instagram, it's made them so much money, but it has made it like really competitive on their like it made it really competitive for business owners and things like that.
Hmm.
But they're looking to bring it back, um, which I'm actually looking forward to and see what that means. But essentially, what they're doing is they're breaking down your feed into three different tabs, basically. So there's a
Hmm.
tab of people that you're just following, which will be in chronological order. There will also be a tab of like your okay, is it a home like a home tab?
Hmm.
I guess it's called. But essentially, there's three tabs, um, and you can like put into each tab like you can have a tab of your favorites, a tab of your home, and then a tab of the people that you're following. So essentially, you can put all your favorite people into one list, and that will just appear in one feed, and you can alternate to another feed where it has everybody that you're following and everything's in chronological order. So it'd be interesting to see what effect this has. I'm actually looking
Do you
forward
know
to
what?
it to see. Go
I was gonna say, yeah, I'm interested to see how it affects different
businesses.
different channels. Yeah, different businesses and different
Yeah,
channels. I feel like
Yeah.
influencers, I feel like they'll be fine. I feel like they've got their fan base. People are gonna favorite them, so they'll be in the favorites column, and I think they'll be fine. But with businesses, I'm not too sure how that will be adopted. I'm not too sure if people will put brands and businesses within their favorites column, so they might see a drop in their organic reach following that. So it'd be interesting to see because I don't know how
Mm,
it will play out. I just know people don't follow brands the way they follow people
yeah,
and
that's true.
influencers. So yeah, I don't know how it plays out, but it could mean brands end up having to pay more to be seen through ads. But we'll
Mm.
see how it plays out.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. And I guess brands who do have more of a personal touch might still be okay because it's connected to like a person,
Mm,
as opposed to just a brand itself with like multiple different social media managers or whatever.
mm,
Um, I'm just intrigued to see, especially with some of the accounts that we're looking after now. I'm just intrigued to see, okay, what effect will this have? I know, people are asking me questions like, oh, what does this look like? I'm like, look, we're gonna have to wait and see. We don't know
mm,
what the priorities look like. How many favorite lists can you have? Some people might have lists for like, okay, these are my motivating people. I'm gonna check that list. I'll check that in the morning, and then these are my brands, my clothing brands, my sports brands, my jokes, my memes, like it might divvy it out. Like we don't know what that means or what that looks like yet. So, let's try and understand the waters first. Let's not try and make a silly decision before we know what's exactly happening, if you get what I mean. So
mm.
yeah, but
I
it's
think
just
what's
um
similar to like how YouTube have their bow notifications. So if YouTubers now, well, they have been for the last few years, so being prompting their watchers, their listeners to turn on their notifications when they post a video. I think it will be a similar thing to Instagram where it might not be the notifications, but I feel like influencers and brands will be requesting their followers to put them in their favorites. It will then become a thing in a caption where that'll be a standard line in a caption is make sure you add us to your favorites or something along those lines, just to ensure that they're still getting that reach that they were getting before.
mm. But that reminds me of the time when they started to remove the chronological feed before, and everyone was like, make sure you hit the three dots on the side, make sure you add
Mm,
us into your notifications so you can see all our posts. Like I don't know anyone who actually does that now. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like
mm,
there's like different metrics now. It's like, even at the save button, people don't even care about how many likes they get. It's more about how many saves, how many people are actually keeping their posts and want to look at it for later. Does it have longevity
mm.
and all these different type of things? So you know what, the waters are always changing. Let's see how it goes, and we'll go from there. I'm just keen to see what effect it actually has. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. So that's the
Definitely.
that's the first update. That's the first update on my side. But I'm ready to get into today's topic, man.
Yeah, let's
Uh,
get into it.
yeah, like I want you to kind of like introduce this one and give the background as well, and then we can start the discussion.
Yeah, so today's podcast is kind of based around the whole Molly May situation that kind of unraveled. I want to say maybe last week. I think last week was probably the peak of it. So Molly May jumped onto Stephen Bartlett's podcast before Christmas. So it was definitely in December, and she basically spoke about her life, her come up, her career, the role she's in now, Pretty Little Thing, Love Island, and stuff like that, and within the podcast, there's a small clip, a small time frame or timestamp where she mentions that we all have the same 24 hours in a day, and it goes on to talk about privilege and working hard and stuff like that, which at the time I thought was fine. I would listen to it and I kind of agreed with her. I believe that we can all be in control of our own destiny almost because we have our time to do that and to prioritize our time and etc etc. And then
Mhm.
yeah, I feel like the that went on. Christmas came by. Nothing was said until last week. How randomly out of the blue it resurfaces and it becomes a trending topic. I've seen it take over TikTok, take over Twitter. She was trending on Twitter. just because people were attaching that line, we will have the same 24 hours in a day and running away with it. and the privileged police came running in at her and tore her apart. They tore her apart. And then I personally, I don't think it was needed. I didn't see that line as an offensive line for it to trigger so many people. But I guess we can talk about that now, Jules, and kind of
Yeah,
discuss
yeah, yeah.
both sides of that.
You know what? Like, I first things first, I think that I've heard so many people say that we all have the same 24 hours, like a gazillion times. Like, especially
Mm.
when you start to go on this journey of like personal development
Self-development.
and
Mm.
yeah, self-development, personal development. When you go into that journey and you start finding people like Gary Vaynerchuk, Tony Robbins, Stephen Bartlett to a certain extent. Even rappers say it a lot as well, like people like Rick Ross, Lil Wayne. There's a lot of people who promote hard working. Even people like 50 Cent, Eric Thomas. Uh, these people all say the same thing, and obviously there's a key trend there. They're all males. They're all saying the same thing, and nobody really cares. Like it's just I think I get it. I understand it. I do. I am in slight agreement in the sense that we all share the same time. So we're all going off the same time. And what we do with our 24 hours is completely up to us. And everything is actually a choice. Whether you choose, whether you have to do things or don't do things, it's like it is your choice. I get it. Some people don't feel like they might have a choice if they got mouths to feed or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's your choice if you feed that mouth or not feed that mouth. Obviously, it's up to you. We're not saying don't feed that mouth. Do you know what I mean? That's silly. But it's a choice. You're choosing to go. For you, it might not feel like it's a choice, but it's a choice. And I feel like with Molly May, what she was trying to say, and what everybody else has already said in the past, because I got to make that clear. It's not she's not the first person to say this. Um, but I think what they're trying to say is like, look, when you have time and you want to try and change your situation, you have to create the time and focus on changing your situation. Otherwise, your situation just isn't going to change, and
Hmm.
that's regardless of whether you're privileged or not privileged or whatever. Like you see, there is an element of luck in certain things that happen to people. Like you could say, how can someone who lives in Antarctica become a professional footballer in the Premier League? Right. Already this seems very slim because there's so many barriers to entry. But if
Hmm.
someone there felt like they could do it, they would probably focus their energy on trying to leave where they are. Do you know what I mean? And they might decide, okay, look, with my 24 hours, I am trying to find my way outside of this continent and go into a place where I can play football or something like that. And
Hmm.
might be their biggest priority outside of anything else. So that alone changes their circumstances as opposed to just accepting where they are and being like, it's never going to happen. Done. Do you know what I mean? And there's so many people who live in this mind frame of this will never happen to me and just accept their situation. And
Hmm.
I'm starting to think that are those the people that are the privileged police? Because I've never heard of them before. Just the fact we're having a discussion about this makes me think like where have these people come from, and are maybe they the ones that are privileged? Who knows? I don't know.
Mm. Yeah,
I
it's
I really
interesting. It's interesting. I think people have just, I don't know how, why, what, or where it's come from, but people are really triggered by this and what she said. I think they might
mm,
have taken it too literally or what, but for me, it was just her message was about accountability and t making the most of your time and priorities and figuring out what you actually want to change and taking accountability for that rather than maybe just waiting for it to happen or dreaming about it happening.
mm, mhm,
And
mhm,
like you said, the privileged police are just taking it down for it. It's not like people started to take her down because maybe she was a woman, she's white. she comes from a privileged background, and to other people it might seem as though she has it easier than most. But then I don't think that's a reason to take her down. She still had to work to where she's got people use the Love Island card. If she wasn't on Love Island, she wouldn't have done this, she wouldn't have done that, she wouldn't be creative director of Pretty Little Thing. But there's been loads of other contestants of Love Island that haven't reached the heights of Molly May. She's probably the go-to influencer in the UK at the moment. So she is doing something right to get there. So you have to give her flowers. She come from a
Yeah, of
privileged
course.
position before, but she's still been able to elevate herself and make something of herself by staying
Yeah.
independent and starting these other avenues and revenue streams. So you have to give her that without dragging her down. Like you can give someone their flowers without dragging them down, even if they come from a privileged position. And I just don't I don't get it. I don't get the hate.
You know what it is though as well. I feel like there's in kind of today's popular culture, there is an element of where we build someone up, especially when they're the underdog. We build them up until they get to the top, and once they get to the top, it's like we have to do almost everything and anything to try and drag them down because we don't want them to be
Hmm.
at the top. Although we've like built them up to be at the top. I've heard like people like Ed Sheeran talk about this, like, when he was the person that was trying, everybody loved him. But then when he got to the top, it's almost like press no longer want to respect him. They're trying to find dirt on him. They want to rob his house. They want to, they're trying to like do all this stuff. And it's just unfortunate that with Molly May that she's in that line of fire at the moment.
Hmm.
We see it we see it with so many stars like all the time. Like, Stormzy arguably on the top of his career right now. But like when everything happens with like what was it? What's her name? Maya Jama. It's like
My
they want to
jam,
start,
yeah.
yeah, they want to like tear him down. It's like an opportunity. It's like, oh, we can use this and sell a story and all this other stuff. It's like
Yeah.
all these rumors like, oh, he cheated or he's now with Georgia Smith or it's all these
Mm,
different things and it's because he's at the top. Otherwise, they wouldn't care. These stories always come out about Jay-Z and Beyonce. Oh, they broke up or Jay-Z has kids with other people, he cheated. Like none of these things are our business, but
mm,
they like because these people are almost like put up onto a pedestal because we put them there, it's like we have to take them down as well. And yeah, I think that's a certain culture that we have here. You see it with footballers, it always happens. Like everyone's amazing until they just like you got a young footballer or whatever, he's on the way up, and then he gets to a certain age and it's like, oh, he's not good enough, he's not this, he's
mm,
not that, or they raped someone, he did this,
mm.
he's too arrogant, blah 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 blah. But it's like we've just built them up to just be this amazing person, and now you just wanted to start ripping into them, and it's just like I don't know why the culture is like this at the moment. I don't get it.
No,
But
it is an interesting subject. And you see it with music as well, especially. You get
mm,
these guys on the come up. Um,
mhm.
like LMA, for example, when she was on the come up and she, before Booed Up, everyone was kind of rooting for her. Booed Up came blue. And then after that, it's like they wanted to get her back. Like, no, you're not allowed to be that popular. Like, the fans of I know I think Ed Sheeran spoke about this, but the fans that grew up with LMA didn't actually want her to become popular and a popular voice and song that becomes part of popular culture. They want it to kind of stay
Yeah,
within. And I'm guilty. I'm guilty of that. Like with Wizkid, for example, and Essence. As soon as Essence started hitting reels and I was hearing it at bars and clubs everywhere I was going, it ruined it for me because that song that I liked and was part of my 2021 then became everyone's song, which is
yeah,
almost, yeah. So I get that. but I just don't think you need to drag people down with that as well. You can share basically. You can share
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, it
success,
is,
their
yeah.
success almost.
Yeah, and but this is like in terms of music anyway, like there the way it's like this is like almost like a separate conversation, but we are very music is a very personal thing. Like it's something that you listen, it's personal. Only you might listen to it, if you get what I mean, at times. Especially when you find a good album, a good song, that's your song. And you don't want everybody to feel like they've heard this. Do you know what I mean? And
Mm,
that's why a lot of people prefer to go with like independent artists or underground artists. And everybody loves the underground. When it's underground, it's amazing. Like the rawness of everything. It's not so influenced by maybe the higher ups. So like people loved drill when it first came out. People loved rap. People loved hip hop, but where it is now, people still love it. But because it's such a big part of mainstream media, if you're like a real hip hop head, you're probably not going to like, you know, today's like the mainstream version of hip hop. It's like you're gonna have to go into the underground to find the music that you actually like to listen to. And it's a shame that you have to do that, but it is kind of like off topic in terms of that, but like I get it. Like
mm,
people are selfish, and that's why they'll support someone up until that point, until it's like they feel like okay, this person's no longer ours anymore. They're gone clear. Let's take them down. We see the likes of Michael Jackson and all this stuff, but the reality is, I feel like it's because they've achieved amazing things. We're just waiting for a fault, and we're just gonna jump onto that fault. And um, I'm against that. I want to give people their flowers, man. Everybody makes mistakes, and I get it. And um, it's just a shame in today's society that Molly May might have to apologize for what she said, even though there's nothing. It's really nothing. But
mm.
she has to apologize.
It's interesting to see the split. Like I feel like social media creates it doesn't create these divides, but it highlights the divide in the way people receive certain information and what they take from it.
Mhm.
Obviously, we've heard what she said, and we've gone down the route of maybe accountability, and we are in control of kind of our destiny almost. Is the message that we've received from it. But to other people, they've heard that the quote, we all have the same 24 hours in a day, and they see it as maybe equality, and then we all have equal opportunity. And I don't think it was that. Like it was interesting because I had a discussion with my colleague at work about this, and it was interesting to hear her side. Just again, I think this is important as well to have discussions. I feel like discussions have become frowned upon or scared to have because you don't want to end up offending someone or upsetting someone. But I don't think we should like shy away from discussions. I feel like as the years have gone by, we've become quite sensitive to discussions, and it becomes harder to have. People are scared of upsetting people or offending someone, so people don't just say anything at all. But with having this conversation with my colleague, I was able to kind of see her viewpoint and consider things differently, and to how she saw it or took it, and it helps you create more of a 360 thought process around like certain information. So yeah, she
Mm.
came from the side of equal, like I said, equal opportunity, and that everyone has different levels of, everyone comes in at a different level in terms of their background, their home life, their family life, economically and stuff like that. So yeah, I get that. I just don't think that was the message Molly May was trying to tell.
Yeah, it's true. And maybe it's that snippet or that timestamp that was shown, that because it's not given with a full backstory, it's like that's why people get this kind of perception, which is unfair because you're just looking at it's like you're almost looking at the whole interview based on a keyhole vision, and it's like you're not getting
Mm,
the full picture. So when you get the full picture, that's when you can make the full judgment. But suddenly we're making judgments based on that's a little snippet of what we're seeing, and then we might
Mm,
take that as gospel. And I think that's where this generation we're wrong for doing that. And social media is a key part of that as well. We end up opinionating people, like we give the opinionate and we give an opinion to people that don't necessarily have the full picture, but they're able to spread this information faster than ever. um, and I just feel like it's a very scary thing that we have this ability. And again, this is almost like another episode from Black Mirror where um, someone might do something wrong, say something wrong, and it might be just taken out of context, but suddenly we want to take them down because it's wrong. And that's just
mm,
based on the snippet, and it's not based on the whole story. You know, it's not based on the full picture, which is a shame. I think
mm,
my overall take though, like I'm in agreement with what she says in terms of we all have the same 24 hours. And I understand completely that not everybody has the same starting place. Like we all have different places. Like my analogy that I like to look at life is sometimes that like if you have a classroom of people and there's like so you got a classroom full of people, there's about 5 rows, right? And then you got like your whiteboard at the front. So let's say we give everybody a piece of paper. So there's a bin at the front of the whiteboard, right? So everyone on the front row can see the bin. So they can just look at it and aim and throw it in there. They're gonna feel like they got nothing to worry about, right? Because they just see it and they're gonna go for it. But then the people that are in like row 5, they're not gonna be able to see the bin. So they're gonna complain at life. They're gonna be like, well, that's not fair. We can't see.
mm,
But they can move their table, they can move their chair. It's just gonna take time. So it's like this we have the same time but different starting places. It's not equal, it's not like an equal race. You're not gonna be judged equally in this life. Like that's not how it works. It's gonna be based on wherever you are and you can change your circumstance. I feel like people do need to understand that your circumstance can change. It is extremely temporary, but it's completely up to you. Like I can't lie, when I was like 16, 15, I used to always have this mentality that because I'm black, I'm just gonna struggle. That does nothing for me. Like
mm,
I'm literally gonna be stuck because I'm not gonna try. I might just give up because I'm just like, well, nobody's gonna help me. And
mhm,
to an element, it could be true that because I'm black, I might be at a slight disadvantage, but it doesn't mean that I don't try and change my circumstance. And
mhm,
there's so many people that just accept that as their life, and then they don't try, and then it's like they still feel like they're entitled to something, but you're not even trying. How can you be entitled? And I feel like that's what Molly May is basically saying is like, I'm not entitled to everything I got. I worked for everything I got. And I think that's fair. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's the right way or the wrong way, that's another discussion. But she put the work in to get to that point. Do you know what I mean? Like,
mhm,
and that's the same with like other like I guess athletes or musicians to get to where they got to. They had to put in mad work. I saw something the other day where KSI said he's not talented, but he said that look, you can go back 10 years ago and watch my first videos. I was rubbish, but you can see my progression. I got better at editing. I got better at presenting. I, when I first started trying to fight, I couldn't fight. I got better at fighting. I got better at making jokes. I got better at games. Like
mm,
he just put his work in every single day. He's just trying to change so he can change his situation. And like, what are we gonna say? Like, but he made that conscious decision. There's people out there that's not making a single conscious decision. They're just going through life. They're literally just coasting, and they're not trying to like
mm.
change anything.
Or
That's a
they
choice.
might change, yeah, or they might change, but they don't stick at the change. Like they see blueprints at the moment. I feel like with social media, you see blueprints in terms of what people have done to get to where they are. So
Yeah,
with
yeah,
Molly
yeah.
May, it's the fashion thing, YouTube, Instagram, kind of blogging your life, visual, publicly promoting your life. And people will do that for a month, 2 months, 3 months, not see the rise that Molly May has seen and then stop. But they don't see the journey of her. Same with KSI. I remember watching KSI when I was a kid and he was playing FIFA with Akin Fenway. This must have been like 2012. And it was
Mm.
like you said, the editing was terrible. Everything was bad, but you could see that he was posting content 2, 3 times a week, and that just compounded into the success he's had. So it's like understanding that there's a journey involved with the change, and it's not just the change itself that will get you to where you want to be.
100%, man. And you know what? That analogy you just said there, like 10 years and it all kind of compounded. It reminds me of a book that I read just before Christmas by MJ DeMarco. Let me just quickly get the name of the book. It's called The Millionaire Fastlane, right?
Mm,
And he talks about that, and he says that he talks about like a blueprint of kind of reaching whatever it is that you're trying to reach, but it takes a 10-year process. And in this case, it's about being a millionaire and trying to get to be like getting to have millions, basically. And he says it's a 10-year process. I think a lot of people, what they have it in their mind is 1 year, 2 years. You see these young kids and you're thinking, oh, if they can do it, I can do it. But in
mm,
reality, it literally takes 10, like it does take 10 years. Not to say that there are sometimes some overnight success. Yes, but that's a lottery ticket. You can
mm.
guarantee your success over a 10-year period if you work hard at something and compound it. Once it compounds, you can be very successful at it. Like we just started podcasting towards the back end of last year. If we go back to our first episode and watch the latest episode, you're going to see such a big improvement. Now imagine us in 5 years' time. It's going to be way better. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? So it's like that's the approach that we need to think about, and sometimes we don't think about that. We just
I
expect
think
it to kind of just come.
I think see like again understanding there's journeys involved with everything, even with Molly May. People think that she went on Love Island, blew up, and now she is where she is. But she wasn't influencer before that. She had a following before she went on Love Island, and that would have taken years to build. So Love Island was just a stepping stone, something to help kind of improve her career. And people don't see that. People don't understand that there was a journey before that, and you just take it for what they've seen or when they first heard of Molly May. So yeah, it's kind of understand there's a bigger picture and there's history with a lot of these journeys, and you might not know it, but the work has been put in for the majority of people that have made something of themselves.
Yeah, 100%. And like, do you feel like you're part of this? Like, obviously, I know you agree with what Molly May says, and do you feel like you're in this journey of compounding what you're trying to do now, and you'll see the fruits of that labor in 10 years' time? Do you feel
Yeah,
like
do you
you're
know
on
what's
that journey?
do you know what's helped me like understand that is through football and my career. It's all
Mm.
and like with most footballers that they've it's been something they've done 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a week for since they were 5, and they've
Yeah.
seen progress as the years go by. It's like when I signed pro, that's probably 12 years of work to get to that stage, and that's kind of helped me understand that you need to regularly make a change, put the work in to see the results over time.
Hmm.
Um, so that's kind of helped me, especially when as an adult now, understand that yeah, I'm not going to get a quick fix to maybe get to where I want. It's something that's gonna take time, especially me now within a newish career. Like if I do want to see results from that, it's not going to be a quick thing. It's not going to be a quick fix. It will take time to see progress and like establish myself as well. So that's definitely helped me football, and it's kind of I guess it grounds you. You know it's not going to be
Hmm.
overnight success. You do actually have to put the work in. So No, yeah, I'm
One
definitely on board with all of that.
Yeah, man. I think it's so vital. I think that it's taken me like many books to like have that type of mind frame because definitely when I was younger, it almost felt like I should just be entitled to that. But I feel like what I had on my side was more so that I had ambition. Like I knew what I wanted. I wanted something different than what I have, and I would try things. But I think there's so many people out there that are not trying things, and it's okay if you don't want to try things. But if you're complaining about where you are right now, but you're not actually doing anything about it, then that doesn't make sense. And then
Mm,
you can't take down somebody who's trying to change their circumstances because it's it is unfair. So you if you do want something, you should go and try it. Like if you only have one life, like would you rather live your life knowing that you tried to do what it is that you wanted to do, or would you rather live a life knowing that I could have tried but I didn't? I decided to, not do that. Um, there's so many things that on my list I'm trying to do. I wanna try so many different things. I want to do things like yoga. I've never done yoga in my life, but I would like to
mm,
work towards having doing yoga, meditating maybe for an hour a day or something like that. Just because, like when I see people who do that, they just seem very peaceful and just sometimes it's just like for your own self to have less stress or something like that. It's probably a really good thing to be able to think about nothing. Our
hmm.
minds are always active, so let's think about nothing other than when you're sleeping. Your mind's probably still really active because you're dreaming or wherever. But if you're able to sit down and control your mind to think about nothing, that's another power in itself. And like, well, I want to learn that power, and I know that
Hmm.
all the information is out there for me to be able to learn that. And yes, if I believe that we have the same 24 hours, I can choose one of those hours to be focusing on that. So then if I did that an hour a day, by this time next year, that's 365 hours of me meditating. I, I, I'm I'm gonna be close to being a pro of meditating than the average
Hmm.
person. You know what I mean? So things like that are really important. And especially if you want to change your circumstances, I think you have to be able to try and take on this type of mindset, um, and don't fall into the privileged police of where you feel like um, you know you're entitled because that privileged police is just. I hope nobody takes offense to this, but it's just nonsense because it's the same people. It's just nonsense because it's the
Mm,
same as like it's the same when people are talking about Black Lives Matter and then the privileged police, if you want to call it that, they'll come out and say, "Well, all lives matter." That's like, yeah, obviously, like
mm,
that's obvious, but we're talking about a specific situation where Black lives is not mattering, so we have to say Black Lives Matter.
yeah,
Obviously, all lives matter. We know that, but that not all lives are being treated in a certain way or whatever. So it's like the privileged people are like, nope, that's not politically correct. You have to
mm,
say all lives matter, and it's like, come on. Do you know what I mean? And that's where it's things like that. When I see things like that, it makes me want to like not be on social media,
yeah,
just
I get you,
tune
yeah.
out, stay away and all that. But that's almost hypocritical because I work within social media, right? So
Mm. It's just, yeah,
uh,
it's the negative part of it, and I don't think it will ever change. It's again, it's just part of it. There's people on there that you're able to voice your opinions. Everyone feels like they should be able to voice their opinions, and their opinions really matter. So I don't think that will ever end. It's just, I guess, it's how you decide to manage it personally. But
mm,
yeah, this is what it is there.
mm, mm. Big up Molly May, and again, we always big them up on this channel as well. So, Diary of a CEO, Stephen Bartlett. It's an amazing show. And check out that Molly May episode as well. Try and get a full picture before you make a judgment. So, yeah, figure that one out and have a look at what she said and make your own judgment. And we'll see. Do you agree with us? Does everybody have the same 24 hours. I definitely agree with that. I think that we all have the same amount time because we're all using 24 hours as a daily metric. And what we choose is up to us, essentially. We choose what it is that we do. You know, you might have influences, whether it be might be religion, might be family, could be friends, but never forget that those are all choices. You know, you choose to follow a religion, you choose to have you know, you choose your friends. You don't choose your family, but that you can choose who you have around you once you get to a certain age. And once you become aware of all these things that are in your power, you start to make more conscious decisions. Like, there's not many people who have the same circle of friends when they were 5 years old to when they're 25. Do you know what I mean? It changes. You know who you want to be around. You know what your passions are. So you're going to focus around, you know, those types of people or communities or whatever. So I feel like there's if there's one thing that you want to take away from the show today is that you have a choice and you can choose. It comes with its ups, it comes with its downs, it comes with its reaction, like it comes with its like consequences, but essentially it's still your choice. You have to see what happens, you know? So
Mm.
yeah, man.
And
Big up money,
I
Mo.
think I think just to add to that, I think people will listen to what you said, which is great. But I feel like people will kind of list certain types of people that maybe don't have the privilege to, or it might seem as though they don't have the privilege to change their outcome. Again, this happened when I had my discussion with my colleague. She mentioned like the homeless or people that don't live in a Western world where things might be different. But again, I think it's just being accountable of the time you have and making a difference without comparing it to the success you might see from other people. Just compare it to yourself. I feel like
Mm,
with where we're at today, I feel like that comparison with others is killing a lot of people and killing a lot of dreams because they're not seeing that return quick enough. So I think if they're
that's
able
true.
just to compare that where they were the week before, the month before, the year before, they start to see that progress rather than
Mm.
comparing against others.
Yeah, because if you start to feel sorry for yourself, like you're probably not gonna see the changes. You're just gonna try and escape. You're gonna try and escape in like, I guess, different ways. So you might try, like, if you're a homeless person, you might escape through drugs. It might be through alcohol, cigarettes, whatever. But and it's probably because you can't change your circumstances. Like, if I was to ask you now, if you lost everything now, you lost everything, like you have no money, no car, no nothing, what would you do? And do you reckon you would have the mindset to be able to get out of it?
100%, I'd find a way. I'd find a way, even if wasn't morally correct. If it was the case of me stealing something and selling it on, I'd find a way.
And that's point blank, like, because especially with the knowledge that you have now, like, that's what it is. That's what changes, you know, everything,
Hmm.
because you have the knowledge now. So like there are going to be people who don't have this knowledge. So what I'm saying to them just feels like this is nonsense. This is hokey pokey, magicy stuff or whatever. But the reality is that like it's like what we said last week. Whatever you say to yourself is the truth. So
Hmm.
it doesn't even matter what I say. Whatever you say to yourself is what you're going to believe. If you're going to say to yourself positive things, you're going to believe positive things. You're going to say something to yourself that's negative, you're probably going to believe the the negative thing. So that's just how the cookie crumbles.
Hmm.
So
For
yeah.
sure, for sure. But I think that's wraps up nicely. I think the main takeaways is just you are in control of your time and you can be accountable for that. You don't have to rely on other people to change things. You can be that change in your life. But Yeah, it's interesting. It'd be good to get like the other side if we had someone on or even like the comment section or whatever, just to hear the opposing sides to that argument, have it to create like a little
Mm,
discussion around it because I know it's been topical over the last week or
yeah,
so. So yeah, if you do have any comments or questions for us, definitely let us know.
yeah. Let us know. You can hit us up again, Instagram, and on LinkedIn as well. You can hit us up on the Stereo app as well. I know I said this last week, Jam. I got a question for you. I didn't ask it for you. I didn't ask it last week, so I'm gonna definitely ask it this week. I had it written down, so just bear with me.
No worries.
Right. Oh, wait, did I ask you already last week? I might have
No,
done.
no, no. I don't think you asked me.
Did I not? Is it more important to focus on who you are or to focus on who you want to be? And that's quite fitting to today's episode.
Mm. So you put this on your story. I think this is
Yeah, I did. I did. So is it more important to focus on who you are, or is it more important to focus on who you want to be?
it's a good one because as I'm thinking now, I'm thinking about both sides and there, is there a wrong or right answer? I'm not too sure. But for me, I think it is who you want to be or who you're going to be. That will
Hmm.
take understanding who you are right now and what you need to change to be who that person is. But I think having that goal of who you want to become will be more important than just thinking about who you are now without looking outwards or into the future about where you are now will become without change, I guess, whether that's good or bad. But having is like setting goals really, setting goals in terms of financials or lifestyle. I think you can do that by setting goals on self-improvement as well. So I think yeah,
Hmm.
I think looking outwardsly and and going with who you want to be is more important for me anyway.
Hmm.
What about you? What
So,
was your answer
so,
to that?
so my answer is actually to focus on who you are. So,
Okay.
like for me, I feel like I guess the analogy is to I say focus on who you are and be the best you. I think
Hmm.
that's more important. But again, it's just I think it all kind of goes on how your perspective of the question. So for me, I'm always gonna say focus on who you are. If you focus on who you are, you stay true to your. If you can stay true to who you are as a person and be the best you, whether it's like you as a person, you're naturally a giver. So you be the best giver. You naturally as a person is um quite loving. So be the best like loving person or whatever it might be. Like I guess the analogy I like to use is like normally the animal kingdom. So if you're a fish, be the best fish that you can be.
Hmm.
Because there'll be times where people are a fish, but they want to be a lion, but you're not a lion. So it's
Hmm.
like you can't you can't become a lion because you're a fish. Where that's where I feel like sometimes that's what people I feel like Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this all a lot because there's going to be loads of people who think I want to be a CEO, but maybe they're not the best CEO. Like maybe they could do a job at CEO, but are they going to be the best CEO? Because there's being a CEO might not be who they are. Not to say you can't learn to be a CEO. You might be a CEO, but you might not be the best, you know.
Hmm.
But you might be the best number three at a business. Do you know what I mean? But some people
Hmm.
like don't want to take that step because they're trying to aim for being the best. Like they're aiming for being the CEO. If you get what I mean. So it's like if you focus on who you actually are, you're in tune with that. You can be the best you. Do you know what I mean? And like
Hmm.
sometimes what we go for and where we want to be is so influenced by so many things outside of us. It's like sometimes who you want to be isn't who you actually want to be. It's just because it's cool. It's in
Hmm.
now. or whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? Like there's times where I think like, oh yeah, I'm right now I'm focused on like kind of living life on my own terms. That's why I always say that as opposed to I want to be a successful businessman. I want to, be rich. Because really and truly what I really want is like if I had the whole world just I can just create my whole world, it would literally be to live on my own land, be able to live off my land, and everything was basically reusable. So I didn't have to use much energy. So like let's say I have coconuts. I can eat the coconut. Then I can use the hair from the coconut to create a fire to cook my food. Like everything would just, I could just use everything. I could use create as well as eating the coconut. I could create coconut oil from just a fire and chopping up the coconut really fine. Next way I got coconut oil, coconut milk, and I could eat it, and I could use it for fire. Like I would love to just be able to do that, and that has nothing to do with business.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? It takes away all that added stress that we sometimes have on ourselves. Like we're so focused on some things that really don't even matter. I'd just rather be more connected to the world and the earth. If I could all day just think about like my meaning of life and acting on that purpose or something, I would do it. But we're so distracted by all these other things of maybe what we want to be or dream about that it takes us away from who we actually are. That's
Mm.
my that's my take on it anyway.
Now, I do
But
think that's important. That is important about understanding who you are. I guess, I guess what I was trying to say kind of ties into that in terms of, I thought, like you said with Guy V, I know he tweets about, might not be number one, but it might be a good number two, it might be a good number three. I think Ben Francis of Gymshark was a good explanation of that. Quite an introverted character, as he's described himself. He obviously founded Gymshark with co-founders, but
mm,
he noticed that he wasn't the CEO the company needed him to be. So he went into
mm,
different roles within marketing, merchandising, um, and it's led him to be the CEO. But it's through that progression and that pathway, he's learned to understand himself, find a way for his voice to be heard as an introvert, as he's described himself, and it's led
mm,
him to be able to lead and manage through in his own way rather than, I guess, being the CEO at an earlier stage before the peak of Gymshark and not being the person the company needed him to be, and maybe
mm,
compromising himself at that position. He kind of stepped away and said, right, I'm not the right guy now, but I can kind of work on myself, become the best version of myself, and then when I'm there, the company can profit from that, I guess. So I think that's, yeah, another
mm.
great example about that.
Yeah, I think it is. That's why it's like there's no right or wrong with this kind of question because like you don't need to necessarily give yourself any limiting beliefs. It's not about setting limiting beliefs. Like you can achieve whatever you want to go out and set out to achieve. Um, but if you can do it whilst being yourself, then it's a good thing. But then at the same time, I think I spoke about this last week. There might be certain parts of yourself that you need to kind of break down because you're trying to change. If you are trying to change your circumstances, there's parts of you that you kind of have to let go. But
Hmm.
you're also gonna have like there's gonna be core morals to you that are going to be really important to you, and I feel like it's very important not to lose those things. So it's like, let's say being respectful is a really important thing. So now if you do become CEO, you become really rich, make sure you're being, respectful and not being someone who's just disrespectful just because you got money now, or the way you treat women, or do you know what I mean? Like you're gonna have core values, and you just don't want your circumstances to change those core values. So you have to ensure that you're still staying true to who you are, and you want to bring out the best in who you are as a person. So I think that's just like
Mm,
really important. But yeah, I'm
definitely,
gonna try.
definitely.
I'm gonna try and come with more of these kind of like multifaceted questions at the end of every podcast. I just think it's a nice little touch. And obviously to the listeners as well, you can let us know your opinions on these things as well. Is it more important to be, to focus on who you are, or is it more important to focus on who you want to be? So
Mm.
yeah, let's wrap it up there. It's been a pleasure. It's a great podcast episode. Um, yeah, I go by the name of Julian Green. And my co-host Jam. We out.
We out, man.